my tweet out real quick. That's done. Okay, before we get started, a few things to mention. First, there is maintenance today as expected. Usual time, I think it's 4 a.m. PDT, 1 p.m. CEST time. I don't know if that's going to change the CET time or whatever since it's not summer anymore, but it's supposed to last almost 4 hours, like 3 hours and 45 minutes, according to the post from Carbon. Also, those of you that have registered your plot or community bits, your submissions for the screenshots, I think it is, has been pushed to the 18th. They put out a news article and I think a thread in the forums, and they tweeted about it. There was something to do with a decor count bug where the decor count didn't actually match what the community crate expressed, so it kind of messed things up a little bit. And I believe with the last maintenance, like last week, they fixed the bug and are giving some extra time for those that already registered. I think that ended on the 20th of September. And then you had up until like the first part of October to submit your screenshots as the leader of your community. Well, they pushed that to the 18th. So you still got a little bit of time to do that. Now, I don't know if those that didn't get that memo and already submitted some screenshots can resubmit. I would say give it a try and see if they'll take the latest screenshots if you were able to add more materials to your community plot. But yeah, just a heads up on that. Also, Siskwi or Siskwi Nanamuk, if you want the whole name, has set up a Discord server for those that are interested in all things housing. I believe it's called the Homeowners Association on the Discord. There is a link to it on the Twitch channel page in the resources section. It should be pretty high up on the list. I think it's the second one. Just a bit of information about this. Again, it's strictly for housing information and communication between builders. There are several channels. I think there's a general chat channel. There's also one that's specifically WildStar announcements. I think the way I understand it, it's set up to automatically receive any like Twitter announcements that Carbine puts out. Those will pop up in that particular channel. There's also channels dedicated to discussions by server/region. They decided to do it that way because we have players that are in a region that also build on EU and vice versa. So it doesn't make sense to do it by location, like if you're in the UK or in the US or wherever else. So they just did it by region, and then within those, I believe there is multiple channels to cover custom-built decor. Like I guess if you specialize in like furnitures and things like that. And then there's one that's specifically for full plot tours. So if you want, I guess, some general feedback from fellow builders or just want to let people know that your plot is finished, you can announce it there. And lastly, there is a channel that covers like streams and announcements. It's for those that have like additional information. It also is kind of like an identifier bit. It's where if like say you know what a decor piece looks like, you've seen it on somebody's plot, but you're not sure what the name is. This is where you can go to kind of help people people identify or request people to help you identify specific decor items. Like maybe you knew it was around, but you just forgotten the name, or they've actually changed it and you don't know the new name to be able to search it up. As well, there will be a section for tips and tricks, which includes like if you have or know of very helpful tutorials and that kind of thing. That's where you can list those out or mention them or ask for where you can find some. I know other builders such as Chef Noriak and I think well, it's the only one that comes to mind. Well, I think Katya has some tutorials primarily centered around the KBT add-on, the Builder Toolkit. I have a few myself, but there are some that actually have some videos of while they're building. Some of their projects, I think Jamstar had some of those as well, among others. So if you know of any, and it doesn't have to be just video tutorials. There are some that provide tips and tricks and tutorial bits that are just straight up on like I don't know where, not Imgur, but like I can't think of the name, some social media thing. Anyway, if you're interested in that, again, there is the link to the Discord channel invite right there on the Twitch channel page in the resources section. Like I said, I think it's the second one of the list. And I personally probably won't be getting involved. It's not that I don't support it, which I do, obviously. I've been helping to retweet, and of course I'm mentioning here on the broadcast, but I just have so many things that I keep track of that I think one more is probably going to make my head explode. As it is, I'm finding a lot of things that I'm having to rework a little bit, and I'll talk about that here in a few minutes. But yeah, I think it'll be a good place for those that are looking to get in contact with fellow builders, like-minded individuals that are looking for advice, want to give advice, and share their trials and tribulations and successes, and just generally give each other support. Shoot, I lost my train of thought. Let's see. It's one of those things where it's good for not just the veterans, but also the newcomers. It'll also help alleviate some of the strain on such things as not the communities, but the circles. They're limited in how many members they can hold. And we've had a few that have had to build up extra circle, like circle part 2 and part 3, just to cover the expanse of people that want to join. This could be a good way of being able to alleviate some of that pressure of constantly making new circles that can't communicate with each other directly, but this way with the Discord channel, everybody can keep in touch no matter where you are, no matter what faction, region, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it'll be a good thing. Okay, last little thing I want to mention is I know it's a little early. We're just hit into the fall season, but I'm already thinking ahead and planning to do kind of hopefully primarily winter plots in December. So I'm putting out the call now to say that if any of you know of or have a winter plot that we have yet to tour, I'm specifically looking for new winter plots, ones that we haven't seen yet. If you have any or are planning to make one and would like me to include it in the winter tours hurrah in December, be making a note of that. The only one I have off the top of my head is Maddie's plot for Layla. I do have that one listed already. The reason I want to kind of hold off on doing that and keeping it all to December is just because I don't know if they're going to do the winter housing competition. I think I saw word that because the community showdown is so close to the Shades Eve celebration, that they're really not in the plans to make a Shades Eve or host a Shades Eve housing competition, which I'm sure is a disappointment to those that have been planning all this past year for an entry to that. So in addition to the winter plots that I'm looking for, if you have a Shades Eve plot that hasn't been toured yet, and you would like to have it kind of showcased, I will try and set up one for towards the end of the month. Hopefully I can get it. If something happens and I'm not able to stream like I plan, we'll push it on into November. But definitely, if you have a Shades Eve plot or winter plot, let me know so that I can get that on the list and prepare for a little bit of a special showcase for those particular plots, because I have a feeling, at least for the Shades Eve, that we won't be having a competition for those specifically. Now, they did say if you have that as a theme for your community, then yeah, that would work, because they're not limiting it to theme or anything. But yeah, just I'm sure there's a few that had their individual plots that aren't going to get a spotlight this year. Of course, maybe some of you might want to keep it secret until next year, but anyway, if that's not the case and you want to have it kind of shown off this year, just drop me a note and I will be happy to include that. Finally, I want to extend my deepest thanks to a few fellow builders and chat viewers here. As yesterday, I did receive a little get well gift. Those of you that have been following along know that I've been having a lot of trouble with headaches and other ailments, and I'm constantly under the weather, and they were sweet enough to send me a little gift. So a big thank you to Faye, Poi, Lay, Maddie, and Bones, and also Gisela, who actually made this cute little thing. Apparently she has a Etsy account if you want to get yourself some of these goodies. I don't know the exact address, but I think it's Cuddles and Craft with the N, just a big N between the Cuddles and Craft part. But yeah, it arrived yesterday. I was expecting it to be a little later, but yeah, it arrived safely. I'm gonna have to come up with the name. Maybe you guys can help me name him. But yeah, it's like a mini me. It's a baby carrot. But it's adorable. It's super fluffy and cuddly. So when I'm feeling bad, I'll be hugging this thing to hopefully make me feel a little better. So I'll probably find him a place in the back where Mr. Darcy is sitting. But thank you guys. I really appreciate it. It was very sweet and a big, nice surprise yesterday when the mail came. Okay, let's see. Is there anything else? No, I think that's it. Anyway, good morning to Bones, Poi, Siskwi, and anyone else that happens to be lurking around in chat. Siskwi, I don't know if you missed it or if you caught the tail end of it, but I did mention your Discord channel. I do have a link up to that, so hopefully that's going to get a good running start. And hopefully you have a lot of people participate in it. I may eventually get into it later, but right now it's just a little much for me to get into right now. I feel kind of reluctant to like participate in the community stuff because I really just haven't had the time to delve into things. I've hardly played in the game actually, which is shameful, I know, but yeah, it's just one of those things. I've been trying to get more into it, and it's just tough with all the stuff that keeps going on. And every time I turn around, there's something sickly wrong with me. and so it's hard to get motivated. But if that turns around and things improve considerably, then I will definitely see if I can at least be available at certain times for that. Speaking of which, I've been going over, I've mentioned many times that I have like a queue list of plots that I have been keeping track of, either those that are works in progress and those that I feel are ready for viewing. I've been going through those, and it seems that quite a few have moved off into the communities aspect of housing. And I'm trying to keep those separate. So if it's an individual plot, we do those by themselves, of course. And if it's a community thing, then obviously I'd want to tour the whole thing. Um, it's going to get complicated though, because there'll probably be communities that we'll visit, and like maybe one or two or more of the homes that are on that community we've actually seen. So I don't know if I'll just kind of give a quick skim through for those particular parts of that community, or if I'll just do a whole full visit for all 5 areas. I don't know how that's going to work. But one thing I have noticed is that I'm going to have to go back through my queue lists to weed out and separate the community ones and the individual plots. And as the individual plots become parts of those communities, I'll have to like remove them off of that list and add them to the other list or something. And yeah, it's going to be complicated because I've gotten lists from like Faye with plots that they provided for both regions, and found out like over half have been moved to community. So yeah, it's going to be a little tricky to try and keep it separated, and I don't know if I'm just going to have to wing it each week and wait till like the day before and then scope out some places and not have a queue list kind of set up. I really don't know how I'm going to do it because I have a feeling it's going to be very fluid. There's going to be some that start off as individual plots and then quickly move off into community, and maybe they shuffle around from time to time and join different communities. I don't know how that works exactly. So just a heads up that we'll see how that goes. I think October 27th is the announcement date for the winners of the community showdown that Carbine is hosting. So that'll probably be shortly after that. It'll probably be when we first do a community tour, because I do hope or plan to take a tour of the winners. But hopefully, if they list the participants, just even if they didn't place or anything, I'm hoping to include those as well. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, so enough jibber jabber. I think I've wasted quite a bit of time already. Today we are on Jabbit-EU, and we are on The Temple of Time by Nas Jinda. I thought I had already done this one, and I'm pretty sure if I did, it was just the temple itself. But I honestly can't remember, and I can't find it in the listing, so I'm going to say maybe I thought I did and didn't, or showed somebody like my husband and just assumed I had done it on the, uh, the broadcast as well. But I can clearly see that they've added quite a bit since the last time I was here, so I'm happy to tour it again or to tour it the first time if that's happens to be the case. But as you can see, Temple of Time, if you're not familiar, I think it's something to do with, oh, what's that thing with Link? Um, I can't think of the name. I've drawn a blank. Link and the little princess girl, and he plays the ocarina thing. What is that called? I don't know. Ocarina of Time, maybe, or something. I really am horrible at game names. I did play it, but it's been quite a few years, so yeah, how shameful is that? Anyway, I guess this is supposed to be like the village that surrounds the temple itself. But you can see it's little faux homes, and if you take a close look, you can see they've laid out some glass, which prevents you from moving past where they want you to go. So even though there's a gate here and it looks like there's other places to visit back here, you can't actually pass through. Yeah, I think it's Ocarina of Time. I really am not sure, Bones. Zelda, that's it. I knew it was something, pretty. Exactly, Siskey. Thank you. I was gonna be racking my brain the whole time trying to think of it. Legend of Zelda, I think, is the full thing, and then the sub name is Ocarina of Time. I think they came out with a sequel or something after that, but again, I've played it, but I don't remember the name. I'm really bad about that. Um, but yeah, so. Uh, I don't remember enough about the game to know how closely this resembles the area where the temple is. But for those of you that have played the game or are familiar with that game world, I'm sure you will note some things that are familiar, especially in the temple itself. But you can see they're using uh, uh, shoot, I am like blank when it comes to the names. The cellar entrances, there we go, for the roofing, and then capping it with what looks to be exile walls. Then for like the canopy here, it's the tiki roof. They've got some 2x4s also to kind of give it that old-fashioned um, houseworking trim. Looks really nice. It's great for those that are looking for kind of like an old-fashioned village type of thing. Some pillars here for the main braces. You can see it's the same material here, but it looks like this one's like enlarged a little bit, so the brick size is different. And then here is Orin walls. And notice they're using, uh, they don't have the, I think this is raised up. I believe it's a, what do you call it, massive umbrella tree, since it's got the brown puffs instead of the white. Um, so they're adding their own grasses, and you can see how they've put in like little tufts. They got little plants and the stones, just a little bit. How they managed to build past the wall, like with these stones and stuff, I have absolutely no idea. I'm sure it's tricky placements, and also to do with probably the size of the stones as well. Beyond that, I haven't a clue. You can tell that they're using, it looks like granite walls for the little bit of sidewalks around the buildings, just to give it a little difference between the Draken floors that they're using for the main part of the cement walk. Um, Again, lots of 2x4s for that woodworking here. I don't know what style of house that would be called, but still very nice. I like how they're using the, it looks to be the vintage beer mugs. I think they're using those as barrels, which I think is a very smart idea. I don't actually think I've seen anyone use it in that way. It's really smart for looking for little barrels. Obviously, they don't have lids on them, but yeah. Tudor style, is that what it's called? I have no idea, boy. I'm going to trust you that that's what it's called. Um, but yeah, very smart use of the beer mugs. This one, again, is primarily using Orin walls and then exile walls for the roofing. They've got a cellar entrance here for the sign, and then just using a cauldron. So it kind of gives you the idea of it's like uh, a food place, an inn, maybe. The faux door is just some staircase landings, two of them, and that's why you're getting this little bit of overlap here. Okay, so it's like a general store, I guess. Remember what I said about the chain, the hanging chain? No collision, so it allows you to pass straight through. So if somebody wanted to role play that they're an extra counter manager, they can sit here. I like that they've used the little, I think it's the Orin fence post that has the acorn, and they're just making it look like there's a giant acorn here. I guess this is the shop where you can buy the bombs, and this is supposed to be, I'm not sure what that is, a shield, I guess. And potions and stuff. Again, I'm sure this supposedly resembles some of the in-game shops and things, but I couldn't be sure. Next one is another shop. I think it's for, oh, feeling a little dizzy, so bear with me. For like different masks and stuff. Again, I don't remember the name of them, but you can see they're using a lot of Orin walls and curved walls for the countertop. It's one of the red drapes and Chua pillows. Cylinders and domes as lids. Oh, well, that's kind of handy to know. Next building, target practice. Notice how they're using the oversized landscape portrait to make it look like a little bit of a distance there. Bricks, piles of bricks for this railing here. Orange shelves, and I believe it's the empty trophy cabinets for these little banisters here. For the targets, it's just the dartboards flipped backwards so you don't see all the knives and stuff. And then I think it's the bottoms of the fence, one of the fences. Maybe it's decking railing or something as well. It has those nice boards. You could probably also use the sticks on some of the rockets for that. Decking bits for the roof and pillars, granite pillars. Hey Faye, good morning. Again, lots of cellar entrances for a lot of the roofing, and this one includes the walls. Notice the sign, that's from the speaker, if you haven't played with that before. Entrance is looks to be exile domes and floors for that door. Poi, I don't know why, but MooBot's not working today, so I don't think the commands will work, just FYI. I tried forcing it to join earlier, but it just won't cooperate. I don't know what the deal is. These tables, obviously that's the round table that you can get in like the starter kit for housing. They've just sunk it down so you don't see the really long legs. Turns it into a shorter table. You can see there's a little bit of hover part pieces, domes. They've got an oran window. No, it's not you. It's I don't know. Moobot's just being ornery today. I tried several times getting it to connect and it just wouldn't do it. So I don't know what the deal is. Look how lovely this looks with the pillars being used in a certain way to make them like large columns. Usually we see the columns where they're kind of rounded, where they use the pillars right on top of each other and just slightly rotate. This is an interesting way of doing it. It's a little different, but it looks nice and clean and uniform. Some kind of storage room. If you're wondering about these are Draken ritual pots. I forget which one. I think there's a tall one that's a little tan that we used for like the turkey feathers last year for Thanksgiving when I did a painting of one of those. This is the other one, the shorter one, and it's just turned upside down so you don't see the top, and it just looks like some nice little barrels, vats or whatever. This bit here, that's one of the thinker heads. Notice they got a little heart up here because in the game you're collecting the little heart thingies. I can't get up there, but anyway, that's probably the top of one of the heart collection lamps. And then they've got either a medical cot or one of the, it's probably that, since it's kind of round looking, to give it a little animation to kind of bring attention to it. And then another faux building with the awning, the tiki roof. Again, I'm pretty sure, you know, they've got a piece of glass here, so you can't go past the fencing here. But you can see that they've added in some bits to kind of fill it in. Now, the temple itself is primarily Draken pillars, like galore. You can see that they've got the stained glass windows. They also have the little symbol up here, the triangle symbol. I imagine it's either one large piece of colored glass and then they've overlaid the triangle pieces. But look at the complicated, you know, the triangle pieces here. They got arches being used. Here, I think it's the edges of curved walls to make this little design here. They got that symbol again here. These bits, the little windows, I want to say it's the back side of, it's either the, it's not the fancy bar. I can't think of the word. It's the fancy bar, so the other one. And then some fencing pieces for like right here. It looks like a little bit of fencing. It's kind of hard to see from a distance, but just the triangle pieces here. Very complicated design. I'm sure it took a long time. I'm very horrible with architecture myself, so I'm always impressed when people can put something together like this. I mean, you can see a little bit of the bricking from what looks like the iron fences. If we get down here, we might be able to see a better view of the windows. Yeah, it's like the charming bar. Yes, thank you. You guys are so helpful. I appreciate it. I don't know what they're using for the dark bit. It could be the interior of the cellar entrance. We know that we have some pieces like the back side of the uh, maintenance platform that's kind of dark, and it could be used as shadow as well. I think these bits here, yeah, they're the Dominion bench for these little filigree bits above and below the symbol. Again, the charming bar for this extra little decoration. And then just look at the detail on this, the patterned floor, and even this one here. Now you can see the columns. Again, those are just multiples of the pillars and then just rotated slightly off. And they took it to the extreme. There's more than a couple for each column. And then, of course, the arched ceiling is multiples of the charming bar. Go up here. You can get a better look at the entrance there. You know, it's vast and open, and some might feel, well, there's not a whole lot going on in here, but just the construction of the building itself, I feel, is pretty amazing. I know I couldn't have come up with it, even if I'm following kind of a design that's already out there somewhere. That's not as easy as it sounds. Trust me, I've tried to replicate certain things and discovered I don't either I don't have a part that looks like what I need it to, or of course, granted, sometimes it was the wrong color and stuff, and now with the color shifting, that might be a little easier, but still shapes and things. Um, it's just not as easy as it seems. Here, I forget what these are supposed to represent, but they got the different, I don't know if it's like elements or what, but they're using a couple lanterns and then one of the bits from the cerulean sky growth, I think. Uh, I think these are plates that have been sunk down and you just see the ridges of them. I don't know what this part is. This is a keyhole window, if you're curious. And then again, they've got that little triangle bit. And it's shiny, so I don't think it's glass. It might be the back of a portrait or something, one of the gold portraits. I really have no idea. But it doesn't look like a basic material that they've just recolored. I think this was built before the color shifting even became available. So, oh, is that supposed to be the rubies? I have no idea. So I will trust that that is the case. Now the arrows up here, those are, you can see them kind of flashing off and on. Those are the neon signs, the octopus one. And they've just put multiples and sized them down to fill them up to make that glowy triangle symbol there. And then you go into the room again, amazing ceiling there, using the charming bars into this oddly shaped room. And then you have the sword in the stone kind of thing. I kind of remember the character having to come and once they unlock it, they're able to pull it out and it does a little cutscene kind of thing. I think the top of this is the, I think it's the Draken wardrobe, the one that's got like the swords and stuff sticking out of it, and they're just using the top. I think it could be something else, but that's sort of what it resembles. Again, it looks like using some kind of a spotlight, or maybe the that lamp that has the two cones of light coming out of it, and then medical cot or something underneath to give that glowy, flashy blue stuff. Triforce, is that what it's called? Well, you really know your games. I'm totally not well versed in that, but I'm sure for someone that has played the game, this will be very nostalgic for the symbols and stuff that they've included. Again, I don't know how accurate it is in comparison to what was in the game, but I have a feeling it's pretty close, or close enough where I think those that have played it before and come to visit will be appreciative of the detail that went into it. And again, just being able to make something this grand and have it turn out so nice. I mean, it could easily, you could modify it and make it in, add some seats and stuff. But since that's not in the game, I don't think there's no reason to do that for this one. But for those of you, I mean, we've seen a few big cathedrals before and how they've managed to put up these large structures, and you could use them as not only like cathedrals, but like uh, universities. Break it down, put an extra floor or something in, and have that set up. I'm trying to see if there's like, I haven't seen where there's any access to like an underground building. I think it would be somewhere around here, this way maybe. Um, so yeah, I think it's just the structure here, but imagine the pieces being used. I mean, even just the floor is pretty complex, so amazing work. So that's Nas Genda, which was also one of Faye's uh, suggestions for visiting. So lovely, lovely idea. Um, Again, this shows you how you don't have to utilize the entire plot if you're not keen on getting that involved, or you want to kind of force yourself to be limited to uh, the space that you allot yourself and the pieces that you use. You can see they just used a piece of glass to cut off their visitors from. They've added some things back here. You can see there's other buildings and stuff, but they've made it so that it restricts you just to this area here in the front. That's one way of doing it. Others, like myself, have used like giant walls of forests to kind of corral you into a smaller space rather than utilizing the entire plot. Because sometimes having that huge plot of land can be a little overwhelming, especially for newer builders. They feel compelled to fill every inch of space, and by the time you do that, then that doesn't leave you much for details on other things. And this is one way of kind of what we call like a micro plot, just kind of reduce the space that you're using and you're focusing on, and that makes it a little easier on the builder, sort of, sometimes, depending on how detailed they get. But I can imagine it's quite item intensive, just considering all the pieces that they've used for the structures. So yeah, on to our next and final house for today is, make sure I get this right, Galina Kolsova. Sounds kind of Russian. Again, I'm noticing it takes a while for the zone in to happen. As well, I'm still getting the occasional, it doesn't give you this player doesn't exist error anymore, or I haven't seen that myself anyway, but it gives you like a connection misfire or something. I don't know what it says exactly, but I had that with NASA's place just a little bit ago when I was trying to get set up for the stream. And then the second time or third time I typed it in, it worked fine. So if you get that little error that pops up in the middle of your screen, just try it again, either immediately or a little later, and hopefully it will work. I don't know what's causing it. I suspect it's something to do with them switching, adding the communities in. Maybe it just kind of makes it a little quirky now and then. So just a heads up on that. So we are at the Midnight Reaver of Galina Kosova. I'm not sure I'm saying that right. It's basically just a giant ship. There is a bunker house, but it is empty. I can show you that just to kind of prove it, but there's really nothing in it. So um, as far as the outer part of the ship, there are some bits that kind of look a little, I hate to say sloppy, but you can see, like the back side of the posters and such. But I think the main thing is the interior that their focus is. It could be that maybe they just haven't finished boxing in the outside, and I've kind of caught it at the tail end. But you can see there's engine parts from like the Space Chase. I think this is part of some of the train bits, I think. There's a ton of reinforced walls, and you'll see that even on the interior. There's also lots of gratuitous use of the uh, travel posters, which we saw. Again, Space Chase stuff for some of this. This is an oversized Red Moon vent. Over here, I think it's travel posters, and then one of the new Red Moon doors. Grates for the ramp on here, grated shelves, and then they use the same for the ramps over here, and then some of the roped railing. Yeah, I think that's a train part that you see. So in we go. You can see there's, again, reinforced walls. They got the Chua spotlights, graded floor panels. All right, Siskwe, you have a good day at work. Thank you for dropping by. These bits here, I'm not sure what this is, the flooring. But look at these awesome panels here. We've seen a lot of control panels for like the bridges of spaceships, but also control rooms for like subway controls, lab works, and things like that. And this is just another variation. It's very nice and clean with, again, lots of the travel posters for most of the cabinet parts itself. Over here you have different detonators, like the fronts and backs and sides of them. Over here you have detonators again, but again a different one. Control panels and such. They've chosen pieces that have different kinds of knobs and buttons just to make it look a little interesting. Over here you have the detonator blinky lights. People like to use those for like their words, for signs. In fact, Giselle, the one that made the carrot plushie, she's also a fellow builder. She goes by the handle of Bubbles Starborn. We've visited a lot of plots that she's built, not only for herself, but as commission for others. And she usually like signs by Bubbles with these green lights. This is one of the Macari tables, I think, and then these are just the Exile tactical tables. Over here, again, lots of fun with different kinds of, some are repeats from before, and others are like you have the advanced thermometer here. These little buttons to make it look like a keyboard. I think it's, I want to say it's coins, plastic coins that have been color shifted to like a black and white. But it also could be the dynamite. I think it also has a little coin-looking shape on the bottom of it. I can't remember what it's called though, specifically, but I think it's some kind of, it's like the bundle dynamite with a detonator thing on top of it. And then, but the bottom, it looks like little, almost like ammunition edges or something. It's probably that, but it could also be the coins. That's part of a Chua desk, I think. Again, using a lot of the same pieces as you see over here, but just tilted different. Hey Flood, good morning. Same way here. And these bits, it looks like little bits you kind of like shift. That's uh, what the heck is it called? Like on the tip of my tongue. Magnetized container, I think. These panels, I think, are from the Red Moon decor kit from the shop. Again, most of the cabinetry is travel posters. You got a little bit of pillars here. The little captain's chair is just, I think it's one of those uh, holographic bits with a stool and then the Chua pillows. I think this is one of those levitating platforms. Again, more buttons, just arranged differently, just to keep it interesting. Door here. There's a storage area. I think we've seen some great examples of different kinds of guns that people have created. Some even like to bling out their swords. They'll add parts to them. This is another good example of coming up with your own weaponry. For example, these here are magnetized containers. There's a suitcase, a barrel full of danger, a Merg dynamite, a couple of pillars, and then a reinforced wall for most of these. This one's a little bit different. It's got some pillars, I think, for the bits here, some vent tanks and tires for that detail for like the sniper rifle looking bit. Then you got these here, looks more like a little laser gun type of deal. Again, it's some barrels, looks like they've been color shifted. Same item, but just a little different looking. Different arrangement of tanks and magnetized container. I think this is a color shifted rusty fuel pump. It's usually red and it's got like the little gauges and stuff on the other side. And this is just the back side. Looks like a fuel tank maybe right there. And then you got this, I don't know, rocket launcher. Just tubes, suitcase, Merc dynamite, vent tank, tires, a Chua cup on the end here, and of course a rocket. That in there. Yeah, here's that piece, the one that they're using for the keyboards. Some kind of dynamite stick thingy. I don't know the name exactly, but yeah, that's what it looks like for the keyboards here. A little further into the ship, and we come across the med lab. This is a Dominion bench, and then the spaceship window, which most people use as doors, oddly enough. The little scanner here, MRI or whatever you want to call it, that is a curved wall, and then they've lined it with those Red Moon lights you can get straight off the vendor. This is a gear lamp. The little tool table here is Merg Dynamite, and then travel posters, and then just a collection of weird little goodies. I think this is supposed to be like a bone saw or something. It's like plates, hammers. It looks like some kind of a detonator thing with a vent tank inset in there as well. And then I guess this is supposed to be a drill. So you've got like one of the Draken spears, a vent tank. I'm not sure what that is, a reinforced wall or something, and then Merg dynamite there. They're using the spade as kind of like a little pitchfork type of thing. Remember that particular item, depending on which way you turn it, if they had it flipped over the other way, it would look solid like an actual shovel. But if you have it flipped the other way, it looks like a fork. The middle disappears for whatever reason. The cabinet here is mostly medical tables. Again, there are two medical tables on the housing vendor, and at different prices. I think one's like at 4 gold and the other one's like 50 silver or something along those lines. Always go for the cheaper one, obviously. I think it's the same way with like a flower pillar or something for the Orin. There's two that are exactly the same item, but they're priced differently. Why they have the extras in there, I have no idea, but it's a little annoying. But if you're not really paying attention, you might think that's the only one, and because they're named differently, I'm pretty sure. Specifically, the medical table. I think one's called medical table, and the other one's like a metal white metal table or something. I don't know, but it's worded differently. So if you're not really paying attention, you might actually accidentally pick the expensive one and spend more money than necessary. And of course, the magnetized containers on the ends. It almost looks like little shelves or drawers that you can open. Over here we have the little cantina or mess hall. Kitchen itself is pretty nice and clean and simple. Would work for a personal residence. It doesn't have to be this spaceship type of thing. It's just Orin walls topped with travel posters. The fridge is a ship hand locker with tablet computers inset for the 2 compartments, and then hammers for the handles on that. The stove vent is hover part pieces. For the controllers of the burners, that's Chua cups. It looks like the back side of the graded floor panel for the top of the stove, and then these, I believe, are one of the barrels or tanks. It's one of the two. There's several different versions. They all have a different look. If you're going for a more silvery look, others come in more black. We've seen people use plates and bowls as well. If you're going for more of a glowy kind of like electric stove type of thing, a lot of people like to use the round circle part of the beer neon sign. I've done that myself a couple times. Oops. And again, they're just using this little utensil rack. It's just a pillar with things hanging off of, but notice they added the shovel, the spade, a hammer, and a dynamite as well. For some of the appliances, you've got a blender here. That's the base of one of the Chua cups, a plate, a glass, and then for the little blade inside, they're using one of the Red Moon ceiling fans. For the coffee maker here, it's a couple of cylinders, a control panel thing. Uh, chew a cup, and I think the base of it is some reinforced walls. The toaster is part of the rusty fuel pump. They've left it red. The what I assume is the microwave kind of thing or something along those lines. It looks like a little piece of glass here. Control panel, graded floor panel, and then travel posters for the majority of that structure there. Notice the little toaster or bread rack. It's just a graded shelf, the graded net shelf, and then just multiple pieces of toast. Using some of the bushes for greenery, if you're trying to make some kind of like a little salad deal. Just checking to make sure they didn't like make some specific little critter food bits. Like here, you can see it poking through the table. It's an upside down barnacle weed. I guess it's made to look like, I don't know, maybe a gravy or some kind of jam stuff that you would dip your toast in or whatever. The only downfall is, again, you can see the barnacle leaves sticking out. Across from there is a bedroom. Lovely little computer desk. Notice they're using glass for some of the shelving and the tabletop or desktop. Again, when you're using the glass for tables and stuff, you are limited to what you can use for articles on top, because obviously you don't want everything sticking out the bottom. But you can see they got away with it by just sticking to items that stay flat. But again, the shelves are custom with glass and travel posters. And they've, added in these items individually here. Just crazy stuff. Carrot. See, got my plushie there. The bed, same way. Travel posters. And then it's an actual exile bed that they've just inset. I think it actually comes with like a huge headboard here, and they've just pushed it so you just see the parts that they want you to see. Same way with the little nightstand here, that's all travel posters, and this part here is part of that sippy cup being used for the handle. Bathroom, one of my favorite rooms because they really get fun with the toilets here. This is, I think it's one of the portable holograph things. They're using green pillows that have been color shifted to black and white, I think, for the little flip lid. And a fuel tank thingy, fuel jug, whatever it's called. Chew a cup and a hammer for the flusher. This inner part might be one of the engine parts from the space chase. And it also looks like one of those metal bowls as well for this part here. And then possibly a red moon vent inset on top of that light there. Notice the trash can. It's skinny waste barrel, and it looks like something else inset here, but I'm not sure what. Of course, the cabinet for the sink is just travel posters, little bowl inset there. The shower is curved glass. Got hammers for the handles for the doors. This is a sparking wire for the piping, hammer, and like a dome with one of those red moon vents, and then 2 cups for the knobs. And over here we have a little living space. You've got, again, travel posters for most of the furniture bases, inset with Chua pillows, and then they've added the Chua stools to make it actually usable. The entertainment system, again, I think it's any waste barrels or some other kind of tank for the speaker bits. Lots of travel posters for all of this, those sippy cup handles, and then this bit is one of the screens from the Red Moon 4-pack. If you're wondering about this picture, I think it comes from another decor pack. It's like the Granox style or something. I don't remember which pack it is. If you just kind of go through and look at like what's contained in each pack, you'll see it. Personally, I don't want to buy the pack just for that one item, but you know, if you're looking for something different, it comes without that beyond the fringe text, which is a plus. But yeah. Then we've got what looks to be like the main like core engine room or something. I have no idea what all these pieces are. There's like I think this one here, little looks like a beryllium sphere or something, comes from one of the daily rewards. There's vent tanks. There's different kinds of I don't know if it's part of the cannons or something else, but that's what those little moving brackets are coming from. You've got exile generators, cylinder pieces, lots of reinforced walls. There's just all kinds of little mechanical bits. There's even some Eldon and Dominion stuff. Yeah, I think that's one of the guns or something, cannons. You can even see through to like some of the bottom below bits. Again, mostly graded shelves here for all of this catwalks. Here's some of the storage and stuff. Some of their, I guess, rare creatures that they've come across. This, if I remember right, leads to the outside. Yeah, this is just an extra entrance to the interior of the ship. Again, mostly travel posters for this structure here, this whole docket part. If you're wondering about these bits here, those are parts of the, I think it's the Exile fence post. It's the one that's kind of got like the hooky thing, and the light is like on the end of the hook, and they're just using it for like the pillars for the catwalk part. Because these lights, I think, are actual Chua spotlights. And then here we have like a communal kind of barracks, a lot nicer looking than some of the other barracks we've seen, but I love the little nooks for the different beds. Again, most of this room is travel posters, and they've just carefully laid in these little shapes. The back wall is the graded floor panel, and then they've done different kinds of bedding. So you have the mattresses and then color shifted pillows, but then like this is a sleeping bag, the traditional look, and then over here they tinted it red to match the Chua pillows that they threw on there. Left this one blue, but this one's been shifted to a more purple. Different kind of purple, purple back to blue. Again, sipper cup handles for the cabinetry there. Here it looks like they have like some kind of like for the screen for video games. So it's like, I don't know, what did you call it? NES or something? What is that? Yeah, PlayStation or whatever. It's I think it's just control panels, like the base of it, and then they've hooked up the wires. The controller itself is like a handle. And then I think this is one of the detonators. This is like a hammer and then a detonator stuck on there. Nice way to sneak in off-season items. Shades Eve and Winterfest there. But I love this. This is a cute way of doing multiple beds in a single room. And then the communal bathroom. Got the showers. Again, it resembles what we saw before, but you can see a little closer now without the curved glass. Lovely space toilets. This here is this item. It's the toilet again, but it's the back of it. A lot of folks like using it for like the hand dryers. Of course, they do have the towels up here. The rack is just a simple pillar. Again, the towels come from the boxing gym fab kit, and you get a chance, like a 50-50 chance of getting one or the other. If you can defeat the fourth, I think it is the fourth opponent. I think there's something like 8 or 9 or something opponents altogether, but I never make it that far. I'm like horrible at that challenge, but if you can get past the fourth one, you get this automatically, one of the towels. If you make it through the entire challenge, then you have a chance of getting like the kitchen sink and a couple other things, I think. And I think that's it for the ship. I couldn't figure out if there was any other like up down. I mean, you can see things below, but I think they just made that so that this grading kind of gives you an idea that there's more going on to the ship than what you have access to. But that's as far as I got. Just these particular rooms and such. But you know, some amazing work. It's not easy putting these kind of structures together, planning out where the paths go. Yeah, see, like some of these are that like Krog or Kurg, not Kurg, like Krog uh, cannons or something. It looks like a dragon-looking thing to me. Oops. I think this is the bottom side of one of those platforms or whatever. I have no clue. But yeah, it's fun. Some spaceships we come into, they make it like it's the entire plot. These are a little bit more complicated, I think, because they're not only having to take care of the interior, they're also having to dress up and make the exterior look a little presentable too. Now, I don't know if this Midnight Reaver actually refers to some kind of an actual ship that they've replicated here. Again, I know there's been some that's like done different games like BioShock and uh, World of Warcraft, and I think there was a few that we went to that had like I can't even think of the name, Space Odyssey or something. And we've seen some Star Wars stuff, the Millennium Falcon for one, um, but and Star Trek as well. We saw like the USS Enterprise, I think, a few different examples of that, and each one has approached it differently. Some you just see the interior, that's all you get access to, and others have actually made it so you can actually see the entire ship and go inside it. Some it's just the ship and you can't go inside it. It's just a different approach to each one. And so again, I don't know if this one's supposed to resemble an actual ship that's out there somewhere, or if it's just something concocted out of their head. Either way, it's not an easy task to undertake. So kudos for them to make it look effortless. Again, the bunker house is here, but it is empty. I will go ahead and show you that, so you know that I didn't miss anything. And of course, you can see the storage room up above that has all those spotlights. You can see that kind of plays with the spot underneath. Makes it look like somebody's being abducted, but it's just the lighting from the spotlights showing up so brightly. So yeah, that is the Midnight Reaver by Galina Kolsova or Kolosova. It's one of those. And yeah, myself, I don't think I've ever done an actual spaceship kind of thing. I've done some vehicles and stuff, but that's probably about the closest to like a huge mechanical thing. It's just not my cup of tea, but I appreciate those that are able to pull it off so nicely. And I really love the interior plans for this one, because I like using the travel poster. It's a very versatile item, and being able to see it used not only as some of the interior walls and stuff, but also the structures like the bed, couches, and the cabinetry. Just lends itself to show just how you could use it in anywhere. It doesn't have to be a spaceship setting. You could use it in an actual home and still have it look nice and clean and you know, beautiful looking, I guess is probably my term that I'm looking for. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I certainly did. Again, we will be trying to be back here next week. All goes well, fingers crossed, to take a look at entities. And on the calendar here, if they're going to be announcing the winners of the community competition on the 27th, that means our first chance of possibly getting to look at some of the community entries, including the winners, will be the first of next month. So hopefully we'll have some information on that. I'll be able to take a look at some of the communities. I'll try and get that set up the weekend before so I'm prepared. Just buckle in, because if we're going to be doing a community tour, chances are it's going to be a long while, depending on how detailed each plot of the community is. It could take us a while. If it gets to be super long, I may just break it down to like a part 1 this week and part 2 next week or something like that. I don't know how we're going to be doing, but yeah, it's going to be something to look forward to. Again, if your community has been registered for the Community Showdown competition, you do have until the 18th to submit your screenshots for your submitted community. I think it had something to do with some kind of decor count bug. There was people having problems, I guess, finishing off their communities or whatever it was. And yeah, so just a heads up on that. Again, if you're looking for a Discord channel that has some information from fellow builders, tips and tricks and just general discussion, or if you want to show off your plot and ask for some constructive feedback, you can hook up with the Homeowners Association Discord server hosted by Sisqui. The link is there on the Twitch channel page in the resources section. And yeah, a final reminder about the homes that I'm looking for. If you have a Shades Eve themed plot that we have yet to tour these past years, give me a heads up and I will try to set up a special Shades Eve themed tour day by the end of this month. And alternatively, if you have a Winterfest or winter themed plot that has yet to be toured, then definitely send me word on that, because I'm hoping to make the month of December primarily focused on winter plots, depending on how many we get. It may be the entire month, it may just be right around the holiday time, that kind of thing. Again, I already have Maddie's plot for Layla set up for that listing. But if you know of one or have one of your own that has yet to be seen, drop me a note about that one as well. Okay, guys, so I think that's it. Hope you have a wonderful day, wonderful weekend, and rest of the week. And hopefully I will see you next time. Again, thank you guys for the Get Well present. I appreciate it. Again, he will probably be squeezed to death. Eventually, he'll be just like a little wimpy carrot, because I plan on hugging it when I'm feeling bad, because it's no fun feeling sick and everything. But thank you to everyone that worked to get this to me. I really do appreciate it. And hopefully I will see you guys next week. Until then, have a great day. Good luck with whatever you're working on, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.